In every town, there's one place people avoid once the sun goes down. A place whispered about during storms. A place children dare each other to approach. A place adults refuse to talk about. This is that place. Welcome to Harrowmont Public School. And welcome to Tales of the Dark. Subscribe, if you choose to stay. Harrowmont was once an ordinary school. Morning bells, crowded hallways, lockers slamming shut, teachers repeating lessons no one listened to. But all of that changed in the winter of 1999. The night a janitor named Elliot Brandt stayed late after a snowstorm. He was known for his routines. Same floor pattern, same hallway order, same quiet humming as he mopped the floors. But that night, his humming stopped. Elliot reported hearing 3 knocks from the north wing. Not loud, not aggressive, just deliberate, as if someone polite was trying to get his attention. The knock came from classroom 12, a room locked since the school closed temporarily that year. Teachers said the room felt wrong. Students avoided it. Even when it was still in use, no one wanted to sit near the windows. They said sometimes something moved in the reflection behind them. Elliot unlocked the room. It was empty, but the knocking continued from inside the walls. And that's when he saw it. Every classroom door, slowly opening, one after another. In a perfect sequence, not random, not chaotic, more like someone was moving down the hallway, checking each room, room by room, as if taking attendance. Elliot panicked and ran toward the lobby, leaving his cleaning cart behind. He later told his supervisor that the air behind him felt heavy, like something was following him, but not running, just walking, slowly, patiently. He hid inside a supply closet until sunrise. When teachers arrived the next morning, they found his mop standing upright in the hallway, balanced perfectly on its handle. Impossible to explain. They also found every door wide open, every light on, every textbook placed neatly in the center of each desk, as if a teacher had returned and prepared the rooms for class. That was the last day Elliot Brandt was seen inside the building. He resigned without warning, and refused to explain why. But the strangest part was what the security cameras recorded that night. A tall shadow drifting across the hallways, pausing at each door, leaning in, listening, and at the end of the hall. The figure stopped at the supply closet, the very one Elliot was hiding inside. The camera captured the shadow standing there, unmoving for 6 full minutes. After this, the town officially closed the school for good. The final report said electrical inconsistencies, but everyone knew the truth. Harrowmont was awake, and something inside it wanted attention. Welcome to part 2 of our Harrowmont investigation. If you're just joining us, you might want to go back. Things are about to get stranger. After the school's closure, the stories didn't stop. They multiplied. Locals reported seeing lights flicker on and off in the abandoned classrooms, always in a specific sequence, as if spelling out a message no one could read. Teenagers, drawn by the thrill of the legend, would sneak onto the grounds, only to flee in terror, describing the sound of a lone swing creaking back and forth in the dead-still air of the playground. One group of urban explorers decided to document their visit in 2008. Armed with cameras and audio recorders, they ventured inside, their nervous laughter echoing through the decaying halls. Their footage, which later went viral, is chilling. For the first hour, everything was quiet. Dust motes danced in their flashlight beams, and the only sounds were their own footsteps on the grimy linoleum. The faint, unmistakable sound of a child humming a nursery rhyme. They followed the sound to the library. The humming grew louder, seeming to come from behind a towering shelf of rotted books. As they approached, the humming abruptly stopped. A single book then slid off the top shelf, landing at their feet with a soft thud. It was a children's storybook, opened to a page with a hand-drawn picture tucked inside. The drawing was crude, made with a child's crayon, depicting a tall, smiling woman holding the hand of a small girl. Underneath, written in shaky letters, were 2 words: "She's listening." The explorers, thoroughly unnerved, decided to leave. But as they turned to go, they heard a new sound, a soft, scraping noise coming from the far end of the library, near the emergency exit. Or perhaps, signaling that it was now trapped in there with them. But who was the woman in the drawing? Old town records offer a potential, and tragic, clue. In the 1950s, a beloved first-grade teacher named Anneliese Schmidt taught at Harrowmont. She was known for her kindness and her habit of humming nursery rhymes to her students. Anneliese left her resting in the nurse's office while she finished her last class. But a sudden, violent blizzard hit the town, trapping everyone at the school overnight. By morning, the storm had passed, but Lily's fever had worsened tragically during the night. She didn't survive. Anneliese was devastated, consumed by guilt. She resigned from teaching and became a recluse. Some say her spirit, or a version of it, never truly left the school. They say she still wanders the halls, forever searching for the daughter she lost, sometimes humming her old tunes, sometimes taking attendance, ensuring every child is accounted for. Is it her shadow that was seen on the security tapes? Her presence that Elliot the janitor felt? The drawing from the library takes on a new, heartbreaking meaning in this light. Was it a message from Lily? A warning? Or an invitation? This brings us to the final, and most disturbing piece of the puzzle. The classroom doors. Elliot saw them open in sequence. The explorers heard the humming. But there's a third element that ties it all together. A local historian digging through the school's archives found a collection of old class photos from the 1950s. In Miss Schmidt's class photo from the year her daughter passed, everything looks normal. A group of smiling first graders with their teacher. But on the back of the photo, there's a note, written in Annaliese's elegant cursive. It's a seating chart. Each child's name corresponds to a desk, and when the historian cross-referenced the seating chart with the school's floor plan, he made a chilling discovery. The order of the classroom doors that opened for Elliot perfectly matched the seating order of the students on the chart, starting from the first desk and moving row by row. It wasn't random. It was a roll call, as if the spirit of Anneliese Schmidt was walking down the hall, opening each door, expecting to see her students sitting at their desks. The sequence stopped just before the library, the last room on that floor, the very place the explorers found the drawing of her and her daughter. It seems Harrowmont isn't just haunted. It's trapped in a loop of grief, forever replaying the last day of a heartbroken mother and her lost child. The school still stands today, silent and watchful. The lights still flicker. The swings still creak, and some say, if you listen closely on a quiet night, you can still hear the faint sound of a teacher's voice, softly calling out names into the darkness, followed by an even fainter whisper from within the walls. Answering, present, Harrowmont Public School remains a monument to a tragedy that has refused to be forgotten. A story of loss, etched into its very bricks and mortar. What do you think is happening inside those walls? A ghost? A memory? Or something else entirely? Let us know your theories in the comments. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the shadows. Don't forget to subscribe to Tales of the Dark. We have many more stories to tell. Just be sure to leave the lights on. They hoped closing the school would silence whatever walked its halls, but it didn't. It only grew louder. The story begins after the old Northwood Elementary building was officially shut down, left to decay on the edge of town. To prevent vandalism and trespassing, the district hired overnight security. But this wasn't an ordinary watch job. No guard ever lasted more than 2 nights. Every single one quit, filing nearly identical reports. They described the same sequence of unnerving events: lights flickering on and off in empty corridors, the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoing from the gymnasium, and most terrifyingly, a tall, thin silhouette moving past the end of the main hallway. It was always spotted at the exact same time, down to the minute, 3:17 in the morning. One of the last guards to take the job, a man named Marshall Inver, documented what many consider the most chilling encounter of all. In his official statement, he described how on his second and final night, he heard a voice coming through the school's old intercom system. It was a woman's voice, soft, gentle, almost calming. She was calling out student names, as if taking attendance in the dead of night. But these weren't names of any children who had ever attended Northwood. They were names no one in the town recognized, names that didn't exist in any local records. Marshall listened, frozen at his desk in the main office, as the list went on. He swore that the last name she called was his own. In a surge of panic, he ripped the intercom's power cord from the wall socket, but the voice didn't stop. It continued, now whispering directly behind him. He didn't even bother to collect his belongings. He ran from the building and never looked back. His story might have been dismissed as a prank or an overactive imagination, but it prompted a deeper look into the school's past. A search through the district's dusty archives revealed a forgotten box of files. Inside were records from years earlier, before the school was ever considered for closure. A series of complaints had been filed by a beloved second-grade teacher, a Mrs. Evelyn Holland. She had repeatedly reported what she called after-hours disturbances. Her notes detailed unsettling occurrences, student papers rearranging themselves on her desk after she'd gone home, chalk scrawling messages on the blackboard without a hand to guide it, and the persistent sound of footsteps approaching her desk as she worked late. Her final note, written just days before she abruptly resigned, was scribbled on a small piece of memo paper. The handwriting was shaky, frantic. It read, "Someone is watching me after dark." The sentence was underlined twice, so forcefully that the pen had nearly torn through the paper. She left her job in the town shortly after, and no one ever heard from her again. This discovery led investigators to the final piece of security footage ever recorded inside the school. It came from a single, forgotten camera that had been left active in room 12, Mrs. Holland's old classroom. The camera was supposed to be dead. The entire building had no power running to it. Yet, the footage shows the overhead fluorescent lights in room 12 flickering on, bathing the empty classroom in a cold, sterile glow. At the teacher's desk, where Mrs. Hallen once sat, a lone figure was visible. Its shape was distorted by the low-quality video, but it resembled a woman. It sat perfectly still, silent, as if waiting for class to begin. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then, the camera's autofocus mechanism whirred, zooming in closer on the desk. As the image sharpened, the figure slowly lifted its head and turned its face directly toward the camera lens. The feed cut to static in that exact instant. The recording was over. Today, the school is locked down tight. A tall chain-link fence surrounds the property, and every window is boarded shut. But the activity hasn't stopped. Every single night, precisely at 3:17 a.m., the motion sensors inside the building are triggered in a specific, unchanging sequence. The alerts come in, one after another. Hallway 1, Hallway 2, Classroom 12, the main lobby, and finally, the front doors. It's the exact path someone would take if they were walking the length of the building, checking each room, and ending their patrol at the main exit. But the doors never open. Whoever, or whatever, is inside always stops just short of leaving, and no one knows why. The remaining residents of the town have a theory. They don't believe the shadow, the voice, or the figure in room 12 is trapped inside. They believe it's waiting, patiently, calmly. It walks the halls each night, calling out names, taking its phantom attendance. It's searching for someone, for the one student it wants to follow home. This was the full story of the school that wakes up at night. You've been watching Tales of the Dark. Be sure to subscribe before your name is called. 2.